Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're diving deep into a topic that has been shaking up the Iraqi financial world and sparking intense debate among investors. Why are Iraqi banks being removed from the central bank's dollar auctions? And what does this all mean for the future of the Iraqi dinar? Let's break it all down. The Iraqi financial system is going through some major changes. The Central Bank of Iraq, or CBI, is getting much stricter about how US dollars move in and out of the country. A key part of this is removing several Iraqi banks from the daily dollar auctions. This decision has sent ripples through the market, fueled public curiosity, and left many investors wondering what's next. So, why is this happening, and how will it impact the dinar, the parallel market, and Iraq's overall economy? Stick around as we explain everything in simple, clear terms. First, let's understand the dollar auction system itself. Since 2003, Iraq has used these auctions to manage its foreign currency supply and keep the exchange rate stable. Every day, the CBI sells US dollars to licensed Iraqi banks and financial institutions. These dollars are supposed to be used for legitimate purposes like paying for imports, funding international trade, and meeting the currency needs of travelers and businesses. The main goal was to control inflation and maintain a stable Iraqi dinar. But over time, some serious loopholes started to appear, leading to the problems we see today. So, why are these banks being cut off from the auctions? Well, it's not a random decision. This move is a direct result of international pressure, especially from the US Treasury, which is closely monitoring how Iraq's dollars are being used. They want to make sure the money isn't flowing into illegal activities. The primary reason for the removals is the suspicion of money laundering. Some banks were flagged for having incomplete or highly suspicious documentation for their international money transfers. This raised red flags that dollars might be getting diverted to sanctioned countries, smuggling networks, or unregulated traders in the parallel market. Another major reason is the violation of U.S. compliance rules. To access US dollars, Iraq must follow very strict international rules for anti-money laundering and combating the financing of terrorism. Banks that fail to meet these stringent standards are simply cut off from the dollar supply. A huge part of the problem involves fake import invoices. Traders were caught submitting fraudulent documents for non-existent goods just to get their hands on US dollars at the official, lower rate. They would then turn around and sell these dollars on the black market for a significant profit. Some of the banned banks were even linked to cash smuggling operations, where dollars were legally purchased at the auction, then physically smuggled out of Iraq to be sold at a huge markup elsewhere. In short, the US and the CBI are working together to stop the misuse of the American dollar, and removing non-compliant banks is a critical step in this reform process. The immediate impact of these actions has been like a shockwave hitting the dinar. When you remove banks from the auction, the most direct effect is a decrease in the supply of dollars available in the official market. Fewer banks buying dollars means less supply, and basic economics tells us that when supply goes down, the price goes up. This leads directly to our second point, the parallel or black market. Dollar rate skyrockets. When the official supply of dollars dwindles, unofficial traders and the black market fill the void. This causes the exchange rate to climb, creates more price volatility, and often sparks panic among ordinary citizens and investors who worry about the dinar's value. This situation also fuels inflation. The prices of imported goods, from food and electronics to cars and construction materials, begin to rise. Why? Because importers now have to pay more to get the dollars they need to buy these goods. They pass that extra cost directly onto you, the consumer. Finally, these bans can weaken public trust in the entire banking system. People start asking questions. Why was my bank banned? Is my money safe? Will the dinar keep losing value? This fear can lead to more people hoarding dollars instead of dinars, which only makes the supply shortage worse and creates a vicious cycle. Despite the painful short-term effects, the CBI has a clear long-term goal: creating a cleaner, more transparent financial system. The ultimate aim is stability. The CBI wants a banking sector that operates according to global standards. Achieving this would make Iraq a more attractive and reliable partner in international markets. It's also about building a stronger, more trusted Iraqi dinar. A clean financial system naturally increases domestic and international confidence in the currency's value. Another key part of this reform is the push for digital tracking of all dollar transactions. This helps prevent the illegal movement of US dollars and cuts down on corruption. By keeping dollar transactions within official, monitored channels, the CBI aims to reduce the country's reliance on the volatile parallel market. The long-term benefit of all this pain: a more stable exchange rate and a healthier, more predictable investment environment for everyone. So, how do these actions shape the future of the dinar? Removing non-compliant banks is a clear signal that major changes are underway. In the short term, we can expect continued volatility. The parallel market rates will likely remain high, inflation will be a persistent issue, and public frustration and market confusion will continue. But as we move into the medium term, we could start to see a market correction. As the system gets cleaner, with fewer illegal dollar transactions, we should see more trust building in the CBI's policies and improved compliance from the remaining banks. Looking at the long term, this could all lead to a stronger dinar. If Iraq successfully strengthens its banking rules, increases transparency, expands its non-oil economy, and promotes alternatives to the dollar, like trading in dinars, then the currency may gradually stabilize or even strengthen. A clean and compliant banking system is an absolute necessity for any future exchange rate adjustments, including possibilities that everyone talks about, like a revaluation or appreciation. It's the foundation needed for setting new, stable rates for international trade. So, what should investors be watching right now? First, keep an eye on CBI announcements about banned banks. If more banks are removed, expect more short-term volatility. Second, pay close attention to compliance agreements between Iraq and the U.S. Treasury. Stronger compliance will lead to better market stability. Third, watch the spread between the official dinar $2 rate and the parallel market rate. A narrowing gap is a great sign of stability, while a widening gap suggests that dollars are still leaking out of the system uncontrollably. And finally, track Iraq's progress toward digital payments. These digital reforms are crucial for reducing corruption and stabilizing the dinar in the long run. To wrap it all up, the removal of Iraqi banks from the dollar auction is more than just a financial tweak. It's a fundamental part of Iraq's wider effort to fight corruption, improve transparency, and stabilize its entire economy. While the immediate effects are tough higher prices, a volatile black market, and public anxiety, the long-term goal is a stronger, more stable Iraqi dinar. The success of these reforms will ultimately depend on how consistently Iraq enforces compliance, cleans up its banking sector, and protects the integrity of its currency for the future. Thanks for watching. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next update. See you next time.